All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll share my screen. All right. All right, you guys. First of all, thank you for going ahead and logging in and being here on time. I appreciate the shift to virtual. We just wanted to make sure that with everything that was going on, there are some streets that are still pretty iced over. From what I've been told, back streets and stuff. It just made sense to me to do it virtually, especially we have some people who live out of town. So eh, hopefully you'll still be able to get everything that you need out of this workshop today. We're going to start off with business. So fundraising updates. Remember, I believe you spoke fundraising total is at least $250 by March the 1st. I'm not mistaken. I think I sent that to y'all in a group chat or a group text message not too long ago. If you haven't been on your fundraising, please make sure you do so. You should have received an email that had your fundraising total and your ad total. And then there was one person that I did have to send another email to get that corrected. I had the wrong total. But other than that, it should have been pretty accurate. Also, people who have donated, you should have received your donation receipt for your tax purposes. That should have came into your email from the GSA Grenada email. If anything is inaccurate or you didn't receive something, please make sure that you let me know so then I can get on top of that. Next is the February fundraiser, the Double Good Pop. This will be going towards your fundraising total. Remember, any funds that we're raising, we're using it to help cover the cost of us having the cotillion ball, and then also that is going towards scholarship money. So we want to raise as much as we can because with anything, to do anything, it's going to cost you some money. And so we're trying to do this as economically sound as possible so that most of this money can go towards scholarships for you guys. Okay. Um, and again, you don't have to be a senior to get the scholarship. Whoever meets the qualifications, um, that's how you're going to get the scholarships. I'll talk about the voting form in a minute and how that apply. But the goal is to raise $500. And remember, we don't get the full $500. Get a percentage of that, which I think becomes hold on, making sure I add everybody. Um, so we do get a percentage of that. That comes towards us. In March, there's a discount out. If you remember the little discount cards people used to sell, they get you percentages off at like Sonic and other local places. There's an organization that does an app where you pay for an app. We sell an app to people, but the thing about this particular thing or with the app is that um, people are able to use it not only in Grenada, but they can use it in other locations. And there are other locations that may even have more discounts to it. But that's going to be a fundraiser that we do in March. That's going to be like our last little try to how can I put that? To try to generate some extra funds. Okay. Any questions about fundraisers? And yeah, you can unmute to ask questions and so forth as needed. You can type it in the chat box, and if somebody will make sure to kind of look at the chat box just in case someone has a question, and I can try to address those. I'll check it periodically if you have a question. Okay. The next one is the souvenir ads updates. So far, the person that is leading in ads is Alyssa Honey. So thank you. You are in the lead right now. I won't continue to give updates so that when we get closer to the actual event, that will be like a surprise as to who has the most at that point. So it's just to let you guys know that's who's leading right now. Okay, so let's make sure that we get on top of everything so that you guys can take care of business. Also, as you guys get ads in every week, I am working on the ad booklet. As a matter of fact, I'll let you see it real quick. Let me see if it's allowing me to share that. I should have changed it to where I guess. Give me just a second. I'll just share my entire screen. So if I click out of something, um, I'll just give you an idea of what the ad booklet looks like. What I did was take our directory and change it. So this is kind of what it's looking like, and the stuff will change, and stuff will be added. We're talking about the program. So it'll have your picture with your escort and their information. Um, and then your ads will be after, like there's Alyssa, and then your ad information will be after that. And if your patron list will be at the end of that. So that's how we're outlining the ads. Also, several of us are selling ads, so those will be at the very end of the ad booklet. Um, we have not launched the Eventbrite just yet for ticket sales. I'm trying to wait towards the end of the month so that it'll be fresh on people's minds and people who will be able to go ahead and make purchases for those who are on like teachers and people on fixed incomes will be able to make the purchases as soon as we kind of put it out there. So I am trying to be strategic in the timing. Okay. Coming back to over here. Dress approvals. Once you have selected your dress, or if you're choosing a dress, if you haven't already, please submit it so that we can kind of see it and make sure that everything is straight with it. I think we got a couple people having some issues logging in. Let me just check real quick. All right. Trying to problem solve. Forgot you in there. All right. The next one is needing your GPA. I'm going to email the counselor that emailed me most of you guys, well, all of you guys transcripts, unless you got it to me yourself. And I'm going to request your current GPA after this fall semester. So whatever your GPA is, what you will likely need to do is give her permission to give me the information. So I will send that email out this weekend. So when you get to school Monday or Tuesday, whenever that is, go by and check in and make sure you give her permission to give me your GPA. Keeping in mind that one aspect of earning scholarships is your GPA. Okay. The Day of Black History Enrichment. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that. Those who were able to make it, I really enjoyed it. It was very enlightening to see and to be a part of that history and to learn about Grenada history in that way. We did have someone who submitted the assignment. I have looked at that and I will have something for you. I'm going to actually present that to you at the debutante ball. The next is the digital escort form. We still need a couple of escorts. So if you know of someone, if you find someone that especially if you're still looking, or if you're a committee member and you can think of some young gentlemen that we might could have as escorts, we still need a couple more and we got to get them secured quickly so they can learn this dance and so forth. And the last thing that I have on here is the debutante voting form, and I'm going to copy this and post this in the meet for you guys. There are two things that you all will need to vote for on here. One of those things, let me see if there's anybody else trying to join that hasn't been able to be admitted.
I think Kizzy, she was having issues.
I'm trying to
You
see.
I,
have
I,
multiple hosts on here. You
So
want
what
us
now?
to have
I was having issues and I figured it out. But I think Kizzy, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know the last name. I think she was saying in the inbox that she couldn't.
Yeah, trying to see. I don't see her on here. Or Yes, I do see her name. Where did that go? Okay, I'm gonna try to finish this part and then I can turn it over to someone and I can try to problem solve for her. But let me finish this out. Um, ladies, if you'll click on that debutante form, there's two things to vote on. One of you guys are going to do a brief speech on what's the title? On the topic, I am a woman. So when you use the Dropbox, select who you think would be the best person to represent you guys in a speech that they write and present. I am a woman. And then lastly, you're going to choose someone as for the Miss Congeniality Award, which is basically congeniality means they have a pleasant demeanor, the personality qualities or interests that are similar to one's own. So basically, this is somebody who represents um, you guys. So those are two things that I will need you guys to vote on as soon as possible. Okay. All right. Any questions about the business matters that we have up here? I know I kind of go through stuff a little fast, but are there any questions?
No.
Okay. All right. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Monica Reese for the team building exercise. I'm stop sharing. Let me
Good morning,
see.
everyone.
You should be able to share your screen.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can share a whole.
I haven't used Google Meet since
I know. Well, I really don't use it. I'm using a new computer as well. So
okay.
let me see. I'm going to open it up first.
And y'all, I'm gonna step away for a second so I can try to get Miss Kizzy in once I get you set up. I think you should be able to share.
Okay, is it sharing?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. On today, well, this whole thing with the debutante and all, and what we're doing is probably fairly new to many people. Like we probably heard about it, heard of one, or we've never probably participated in one. And as far as the young ladies, for many of you, this is probably a new process for you. And anytime you're having a new experience, it's good to have a team of people that you can, call on or to support you to help guide you through the process. So we just want to do a simple little activity on today because the more we get to know one another and about one another, it helps build trust, which will help build the team. Okay, so this is what we would do today. If you were stranded on a deserted island and could have one item, what would it be and why? And the second part of it, if there is someone from this group you could be stranded with, who would it be and why? And Uh, I'll start it, and then after I do it, somebody else just jump in and respond. So if I was stranded and if I could have one item, I I'm thinking I probably would choose some type of fire, something that I could start a fire with, whether a lighter or whatever. Um, because you're thinking about you're out on an island, and I probably could find some food or find a way to fish, but I would want to find a way maybe like to stay warm or even to cook. And if there is someone um, that I could be stranded with, um, many of the people in this group I've just met since I've been working on the committee. which is a good thing, because even as for the adults, this is helping us, build our team of people, people that we may make friends and stay in contact with. But one person that I have met since being part of this is Miss Roseman. So I think I would pick her just because I think she wouldn't let me give up and keep pushing me, and she appears to be a strong individual. Okay. And next,
Good morning. I can go. If I can take one thing on the island, it will probably be a knife so that I could use it for fishing and making tools. And the one person I will have to have with me will probably be KK. Because KK loves animals and she's not scared of bugs, and I'm terrified of them. So I know KK will help me when it comes down to finding food and other things for survival.
okay. If the next person will jump on in.
I can jump in. I like the idea of taking a knife, a very big knife, as a matter of fact. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm torn between two people, but I think I'm gonna go ahead and have to roll with the bestie. I'm going with Monique because even though both of us scared, when we together, we are strong. And also because she can cook. So regardless as to what we get, we gonna figure that thing out and it's gonna taste good. And we're gonna entertain each other for hours. So I think that's gonna be my person.
I can go next. If I had to
Okay.
bring one thing, it would probably be a machete. Um, and the person I would bring probably would be Quinaya because she keep me entertained and yeah.
Well, I'll go next. I think what I would bring would be a blanket because I get cold easily and I wouldn't want to like lay on the ground. So I'll bring a blanket. And the person I would bring would probably be Alyssa because I feel like we'll figure out a lot of stuff together and we will survive. I can go next. I love the blanket scenario. If I had to carry one thing with me, I have basically like separation anxiety most of the time. And if you notice, young kids that are in middle school, elementary, high school, maybe for instance, they carry their jackets on with them. If you notice, it can be the hottest day and they have a jacket on, right? So I've learned what that is because I always have a blanket with me or something like that. And so for me to keep my anxiety down and everything like that, I would definitely carry me a blanket. It's blanket or either a jacket or something that will keep me with comfort as well. And I would pick it's a tough one, but I think I picked Dominique because she know how to make things. She know how to make it happen with the snacks, with the food, and all of that. Because I'm gonna be out here not trying to cook. I'm just gonna be out here trying to live the life. That's it. That would be mine.
I go next. What I bring with me is lighter. Will be a lighter, and the person in the group will be Josie because I think we can figure out how to survive together on the island by ourselves.
Okay. I think that if I am on an island, I'm man, one thing, I guess I could make something to probably keep me warm because I was thinking, oh, when Elizabeth said blanket, I need that immediately. But I would say probably a knife, something to be able, I'm gonna need some kind of tool. And then a person. God, I don't know. I need someone who, shoot, I'm finna take Dominique. She'll figure out something and we'll make it work out there. That's it.
I don't have everyone responded.
If I was stranded on an island, I would probably need something to protect myself with because just the idea of wild animals and all the things would give me such anxiety and I wouldn't be able to sleep or rest. So I would probably need something to protect myself with. And who I would bring in this group, probably be Amisha because we would probably use a lot of time talking about the Lord and also cracking each other up. So she would be somebody I know I can laugh with and we can, probably spend a good amount of time together. So that would be who I would choose in this group.
If I were stranded on a deserted island, I would probably bring a pot just so I could probably boil water, purify water. I think the person I would choose is Vanetta, because I know she's been in the military. She has survival skills, so we'll make it some kind of way.
Okay, I don't. Is that it? Did everyone get a chance to respond?
I haven't yet. So I would probably bring either a knife or a machete so I can like cut things and carve stuff out. And I'd probably bring Jamie because our personalities would balance out and we could figure things out.
Okay, we did everyone now because I don't want to leave anyone out without being able to let them respond.
I didn't go.
Okay,
Hi, good morning. If I was stuck on an island, I would probably bring a life raft. I don't know if I could bring a life raft, but my goal is to try to get off this island. And if I could bring a floatable or one of the things you blow up, a life raft, that's what I would bring. And this is my first time meeting everyone, so I think I heard someone call my name. I'm not sure who that is, but I'm looking forward to learning all of you all. So, yeah.
okay. Oh, I think that was everybody. If you have not responded, um, would you go ahead and respond at this time? Because I really can't tell how many people responded or not.
Not bad. It's my turn now.
Okay.
Uh, if I was stranded, I'd probably bring a knife because it'll help you like build shelter and like make food or whatever. And the person I would bring is probably Elizabeth because we'll find a way like to make it happen or whatever.
Okay, and like when you, I don't know, when I was sitting here and I was listening to like other things people were saying and just thinking about even myself, what I said, sometimes you don't really know what you would do, but if you have the right person with you, um, like some people say, it can balance you out. Somebody may help a person that may panic. The other person might help keep you calm. And even though you may not be on a deserted island, even in just everyday life, you need those type of people in your life that can help, balance you out. Somebody that, you know, because sometimes you need somebody that's different than what you are, or think differently than you. Sometimes it's not all about, being with people who, you feel like you are exactly alike. So getting to know new people, because even in this process, I have, gotten to know new people and I have enjoyed that. I enjoy, meeting new people, doing new things. So this process for me has been a positive one, and I look forward to all the many other things that this committee and group of people would do. And that's all I have for the team building activity. But just remember, we are a team, and we are here to support one another. Thank you.
Thank you.
What was the
Thank you
question?
guys so much. I have Miss Kizzy that I'm going to unmute so she can share. And again, the question was, if you were stranded on a deserted island and could have one item, what would it be and why? And if there's someone from the group that you would be could be stranded with, who would it be and why? So I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you. Okay,
And I'm
let
gonna
me
leave it
see.
on the screen. I'll leave it up there.
Okay,
Okay.
it's saying I
Hello,
can't.
everyone.
Can
This
y'all
is
hear Miss
Kizzy.
Kizzy?
Hello.
Hey, we can hear you.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, how are you? So if I was stranded on a deserted island, I probably would get would do some type of cutting tool. I would use the cutting tool to kind of cut through the weeds and grass, and I can also use it as a weapon because I'm kind of scary. And the person that I would bring, I'm not sure of everybody who's in the group, but I would definitely bring Dominique with me because she's very helpful and she has a way of with words, so I know she could maneuver us through whatever.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then I'm gonna come back when it's time for you to speak too. It's because
Okay,
okay.
so do go back to the other line.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Miss Kizzy. All
Okay, I'm
right.
going to end my presenting. Okay.
Okay. So thank you so much for that, Miss Monica. That was really good. I enjoyed that.
Oh,
And
okay,
I
you're
like how
welcome.
you wrapped that up as well. I'm glad that we aren't all on our island out here by ourselves. We have some
Right.
people that we can always reach out to, so we don't have to struggle alone. We can help. We can have people there, and that's what things like this is for, so that you can have that outreach to other people. So thank you so much for that.
All right. You're
Uh,
welcome.
Moving on to our next part is our drug and alcohol portion. And Miss Misha Day, she is going to present to us that aspect of drug and alcohol use, and I'm not going to delay it. If you would introduce yourself to us. I know this is your first time here with us, and we are grateful to have you. So you should be able to go ahead and share your screen and so forth.
Yeah, so I actually I couldn't get my presentation up this morning, so I'm just gonna have a discussion and I hope everyone can hear me clearly.
Okay. Let me see if I can pin you.
This is my first time using the Google Meet as well. So as long as I have y'all participation, we'll be able to get through this quite smoothly. Are you ready? Did you?
Um, I tried to pin you, and if you hit share, it may go ahead and make you big for everybody. If you have a presentation, and I don't know if you were just like not able to put it on Google or whatever, I can upload it here if you want me to.
Um, I don't really know how to enlarge
Yeah, I was
myself.
going to say you could share your document with her and then
I'll,
she
I'll,
could upload it, or you could just do it.
Yeah,
yeah, I would
yeah.
rather um, just speak if that's
Okay,
okay
that's fine.
for this time.
Got you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Just let me know when you all are ready.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Miss Misha Day. I am a prevention specialist for Life Help Region 6 Mental Health Agency. And as a prevention specialist, my job is to basically design and implement programs aimed at preventing or reducing various social issues in the community, as well as to specific populations such as substance abuse, it may be violence, mental health problems, things of that nature. So just a brief outline of what we're going to be talking about today. Like the Baptist preacher say, I won't be before you long. But first, we're going to talk about what is a drug? Okay. Because to know about the harmful effects, you must first know what their particular thing is or substance is. So, what is a drug? And then we're going to do a brief warm up activity to get everybody interacting. The harmful effects that it produces, whether it be academically, legally, socially, emotionally, and lastly, how to reduce those drug harms. So, firstly, what is a drug? A drug is basically any substance that produces a significant change in the body, brain, or both. Okay, I say that again. It is any substance that produces a significant change in the body, brain, or both. So, for a brief warm up activity, what are some of the reasons that teens may use drugs? Because I'm not really sure what the age group are teens, high schoolers, correct?
Yes,
I'll,
they're all high schoolers.
Okay.
I'll say depression.
Okay. Depression,
Peer pressure.
peer pressure, most definitely.
Some think it helps them focus more in school.
Some drugs may help them focus.
Yeah.
Okay. So what drug do you think would help the students who are trying to focus in schools? What drug may that be?
No, I've just heard a person say that was in school that I was wondering why, and they said
Okay.
it helped them focus. So
Help them
I'm just
focus.
using from I
Their
don't
point
know
of
if it
view.
yeah, yeah.
Right, gotcha.
I
Okay.
have heard students saying that marijuana helps. They smoke marijuana because it helps them be chill, relax, and
Right,
focus.
that's what I'm saying. Right.
Okay, gotcha. Chill, relax, focus.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you all for those answers.
When I was in undergrad, Adderall was a big drug that college students would use to stay focused and to study. Like especially engineer or bio or pre med majors, there was a lot of students using Adderall.
Yes, definitely.
And not just students, with that Adderall, adults as well. Like, I actually was offered an Adderall from a teacher before, and
Mm,
I was like, "What? That's a real thing?" So, I mean, there are adults that do that, as well, and then you can get prescriptions, and that's if that's what you need for that.
yes,
But abusing those types of things is, I think, I was surprised.
yes. Yes, we're going to talk about prescription drugs later on. So thank you all for all of those answers. Now that we talked about some reasons that teens may use drugs, so why do you think that teens, the ones that choose not to engage in these activities, what are some reasons that they do not? Because even though that there is a kind of stereotype that everyone or teens are using drugs, but there are a lot and many teens that do not use drugs. So, what are some reasons that teens do not use drugs?
I can say they may have seen what drugs have done in their family or generations or things of that nature, and they don't want to go through their past. So they kind of keep a strong willed mind to not do so because they've seen what drugs can do, in particular to somebody close to them or per se an individual that they really cared about.
Yes. Anyone else?
I would
Like,
say with some athletes, like they don't do drugs because they want to be like just natural, like trying to do their best.
Yes. And I coached junior high as well as high school girls basketball. There was something that I used to drill into them because we would have to do, uh, make them do suicides where you run back and forth. And a lot of them, they couldn't hardly. And I was like, okay, I'm not saying you are, but if you are, you need to stop because it is affecting your body in a bad way. So yes, a lot of athletes choose not to, and that is a great reason not to engage in drug use because it affects your lungs
in
as well as other
fear
systems. Okay, fear.
because of seeing other people and seeing what the possibility of what they can do to you, just being afraid and not
Right.
knowing, because sometimes you see people and they're like, what happened to them? Oh, they had some drugs. Oh, okay, well, I don't want that.
Right. And again, working at an inpatient as well as outpatient drug facility, you see a lot of individuals that come in and just talk about how they were had a great job, had all of this, and their life slowly did a major decline because of the addiction to these substances. Okay, so now that anybody else wanted to share before we move on a little bit? Okay, so now let's talk about some of these substances. Okay, so you have alcohol, correct? Alcohol is a drug, and I know a lot of people may not think it is a drug, but it is because, again, think about what we stated earlier. A drug is a substance that significantly, bring changes to your body, brain, or both. So alcohol, cocaine, um, you know, cocaine, tobacco. Tobacco is a drug because it contains nicotine, and nicotine is a stimulant. And with drugs, you have stimulants and depressants. So stimulants, they increase the activity of the central nervous system, right? So get you wired up in layman's terms. And a depressant, does the opposite. So it lowers the activity of the central nervous system and the body. So alcohol would be a depressant because it lowers the activity of the central nervous system. That's why, most people, they may get sleepy or drowsy, things of that nature. Then you have, of course, marijuana, and it comes in many other names. Anybody know the other names that they use with marijuana? There's a lot. Weed is one. Anybody else?
Loud,
Ma'am?
loud. I
Okay,
said like
loud,
all women. Loud.
loud, loud. Okay. You have Mary Jane, green, all of that, and then
Yes.
gas. Yes, definitely. Anybody else?
Pot, skunk.
Pot. Yep, all of that. All of that, you all. And then you have prescription drugs. So you have those drugs such as oxycodone, Percocet, and I know that the rappers, the rapper Future and other rappers may put that in the songs about perks and all of that. These are prescription drugs that are used to help with pain in the body, but they can also be abused because they have addictive properties. And I know that rappers and things like that may glorify these things, but this is a very serious problem in America. Individuals being hooked on prescription drugs. In high school, again, I played basketball and I tore my ACL and my meniscus. And of course, with that type of big surgery, they give you, drugs such as oxycodone. And the problem is when you start to use, that's why it's good to look at the dose as well as the doses that the doctor gives you, because it's easy to get addicted to these pills. And you all feel free to interject at any point if you would like, and if I'm going too fast, just let me know. But yes, so prescription drugs are easily to get hooked on. That's why it's good to just take them as needed. Okay, now we're going to move on to the harms and the types of harm that it can cause. So let's look at the physical harms, okay? So it can cause addiction and dependence, a slower reaction time. Again, someone said it, worse sports performance, or organ damage, accidental injury, or death. That's why it's not good to even experiment, because some people may experiment and they may die over accidental death or injury. And we hear that kind of all the time in the news. Some of the, again, famous people in the sector, whether it be acting or In the sports, entertainment arena, you hear about accidental deaths and all of that all of the time. Academic harms, harder to pay attention. And even though um, some students may say that it helps them focus, I would beg to differ. Just like I hear some people say, you may hear someone saying, "Oh, I need to go smoke me a cigarette to calm my nerves," or "Let me go and take a cigarette." But actually, research shows that it actually speeds up again because nicotine is a stimulant. So it actually would cause your heart rate and things to speed up rather than slow down or slow you down. So I think that's all in the mind, really. Anybody have any comments so far or want to chime in on some of the things that I just talked about?
I was gonna say I do agree, like what you were just saying, even about the cigarettes. How a lot of it is, like you said, it's an addiction, and they have created a habit of
Right.
feeling like. Because most of the time, I feel like when people are doing drugs of any kind, it is they're doing it to like fill a void or for whatever reason, and so that's kind of what keeps them or prevents them from stop using the drug. And you back to the prescription drug when you were talking about that, I thought about a like cough syrup, even though it's over the counter. Um, it has been abused as well because now you go in and buy some of these things that you used to could just walk
Yes.
in and buy. You now have to show ID and all of that, even just to
Yes.
purchase over the counter medication.
Yes. And again, that's too something that's kind of glorified in the rap songs and stuff. Now it's called, and I know the young people can attest, lean. They call it lean, and it's being abused and almost glorified. But again, these things have very um, detrimental results and harm. Okay. Social and emotional harms.
I was gonna
Okay.
Oh, this is Shakiva. I just want to interject. I think a lot of our youth also you spoke on cigarettes, but the vaping is a really big thing nowadays. And a lot of the young people don't think it's as harmful as cigarettes, but it is. And it is they have the same effects and the addictive properties as smoking cigarettes. And so one of the bigger things that we're facing outside of the opioid crisis is vaping. And that's a big one in the school systems. And so children need to understand that the same effects that you get from smoking cigarettes
Yes.
are the same effects that you get from vaping because they don't think I have a lot of youth that I see and they don't think that it's the same even and a lot of times people will substitute smoking with vaping. They're trying to come off of smoking and try to vape but you're getting pure nicotine either way and the effects are the same. And even with the opioid crisis, it is so detrimental because of the fact, like you said, you can get these prescription drugs, and they are scheduled drugs, and they are easy to abuse, especially with people that may have addictive personalities and don't necessarily know. And so that's why it's hitting. It's not just, and it's such a crisis right now because it's not just people that we would suspect normally. These are, a lot of blue collar people, middle class people, people that are working. They just so happen to get these drugs for surgeries and different things like that and become addicted. So just understanding how serious it is necessary, and that's a job of the providers as well, because it is our job to make sure that we're not putting these drugs in the hands of people that could abuse them. And if we do, there's a reason, and it's a very small amount. And so it's the job of the physicians and the providers to make sure that we're doing our part to not allow this drug to be in the streets as much as it is.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for that. And I know that someone is coming a little later to even talk about more in depth about the vaping, because like you said, that is something that's growing more popular by the second. And it is a lot of misconceptions concerning vaping. And I know that someone is going to come a little later and talk about vaping in a more detail. But thank you so much for that enlightenment. Social and emotional harms, and we talked about this a little earlier. It can make underlying depression and anxiety worse. So again, taking these substances or using these substances can actually make it worse rather than help it, abusing these. And again, it's all, I think, a coping mechanism, or maybe even uh, a justifying mechanism to abuse it, but it can actually make these depression or anxiety worse. It can cause conflicts with friends, family, or teachers, and it can also bring families being split apart. Again, working in an inpatient and outpatient facility, I hear stories all the time about how the family has been split apart due to these addictions. You know, one may lose, again, friends, family, just everything. So social and emotional harms. Lastly, legal harms. Of course, these habits are expensive when you look at it, and the money that is spent to support maybe these substance habits can be used to be put on something more productive, I would say, because it does add up. You know, there's not something that you get for free. You have to go purchase the cigarettes and alcohol and all of that. And just think about all of the money that could be saved or used towards something more productive. Um, you would have to pay fines, right? Being arrested, these things going on your record, and it's sticking with you for life if you're thinking about you know, going out to the job, getting a good career. These are things that you should take into account. So it's why would you put yourself in that type of position, right? When you can just avoid it, not experiment with it, and just leave it alone. Also, being sent to like a juvenile a detention center and performing community service and all of that. So not only does it have physical ramifications, but it also has legal ramifications as well. Okay, so I'm getting ready to wrap it up. I thank you all for your attention. So lastly, we're going to talk about how to reduce. So we talked about what is a drug. We talked about some of the harms that it produces, as well as a list of a lot of commonly used drugs. So lastly, we're going to talk about how to reduce these drugs harms. And one of the most important is to don't use. If you are not, don't start. You know, I know it is popularized and you may feel isolated, like I'm not in with the clique or I'm not with the newest fad, but don't use. It's not worth it. It's not worth experimenting with it at all. And if you are, the best option is to, of course, to stop, right? And if you can't stop, then cold turkey is to cut down on the usage. So I would say again, to reduce harm, to don't use if you have not started. If you are, stop, cut down. And also to gain drug knowledge, right? Because knowledge is power, knowledge is key. And to look at some of the things as such as because there are a lot of research on these topics, and a lot of research. Google is a click away, and the answers to some of these questions are just a click away. So get yourself knowledgeable about the drug usage and things of that nature. I saw someone with their, you want to chime in? Okay. And also, lastly, to know about drug policy and the policies surrounding substance, these substances that I talked about. So again, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to talk this morning, and thank you all so much for your participation. And I look forward to being with you all again. I don't know if we have enough time, but I can take a question or two. I'm not sure about the time, moderator.
If you guys have any questions, you are free to ask those. If you want to type them in the chat box, you can do that as well. I want to go ahead and thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for sharing that information with us. This is something that is very much needed. Um, and I appreciate you, letting them know what's what with everything as far as it goes with drugs. And while some of y'all might be pondering questions, I just wanted to share that um, I have so many classmates and friends that I grew up with that were just brilliant minds, very intelligent people, and you just knew that they would be very productive. But um, drugs have impacted their lives in such a way that it's just heartbreaking to see them, or actually not even seeing them. I have a friend right now that is in rehab, and I mean, it's a struggle for him. He's trying to get his life back together. And I mean, when I say a beautiful person, beautiful mind, able, capable, very capable, but this is something that you need to be mindful of and think about when you make the choices that you make. If you choose to use drugs and things like that, you just got to know the consequences behind these things. And a lot of times you never know what's laced in this, that, and the other, and how it's going to impact you. Just because somebody else can smoke this, that, and so forth, and they're fine, that doesn't mean that's going to do the same thing with you. It could cause you to have a chemical imbalance that you can struggle with for the rest of your life. So we're opening it up to questions again, and then I'll come back and switch us over.
Yes, I can attest to that as well. Just seeing classmates, and other people in the community, how it just takes them down. I like just to say this point. Um, in school, there is a lot of peer pressure, right? There is a lot of peer pressure coming from, and I know it was a lot when I was in school, and it's even more today. But it is imperative to just, again, make the right choices and to be a leader. You don't have to follow the in crowd and do what everyone else is doing. You can be a leader and you can blaze your own path. So that's all I have this morning, you all. Again, thank you all so much.
And I would just like to add to what Dominique was saying, because it is true. A lot of times, young people think that they might be smoking weed, and a lot of times, people are lacing these things with fentanyl. That's one of the main things. And people are overdosing by the drugs. It is a very serious drug. It's easy to get exposed to, and it can be detrimental. And so, like Dominique said, you could it could affect you long term and give you chemical imbalances, but what it also can do is kill you. And so it could be a first time thing, and you think that, oh, I'm just trying this because everybody else is, and it could be something that changes the course of your life forever, if not take your life. And so that's how important and how serious not doing drugs is and restraining, because you do not know what you're actually even getting a lot of times.
Awesome. And so again, thank you so much, Miss Day, for joining us and for sharing with us. We appreciate it. And I'm glad that you guys mentioned vaping, because that's our very next part. That's how in basically confirming the fact that this was something else that we needed to address specifically. And that's one of the things the committee talked about. We're talking about drugs, but let's also talk specifically about vaping. So that's going to take us to our next speaker, which is Miss Marilyn Reed. So you can go ahead and share your screen and you can take over. You guys, I also want to mention that as things come up, if you don't feel comfortable unmuting to ask a question, you can type it in the chat box. I know sometimes we don't want to interrupt people, but this is an open informal. This is where we want you to get the information that you need. So please make sure you feel free to ask questions. Feel free to pop them in the chat box, whatever you need to do. Okay. Okay. So Marilyn, are you able to share your screen? I don't see over here.
I don't know if she's still connected.
That's what I'm looking at now. Let me see something. See if she texts me. I'll tell you what we'll do while I'm trying to get connected to her. We'll go ahead and move forward, and then we'll come back to vaping. The next section is the entrepreneurial nuggets. And so we have Miss Shakiva Loomis. I don't know if Miss Kanina is on right now. We have Misha Deputy, Kizzy Ward, and then Miss Lavita Conley is going to be with us next time. Um, Entrepreneurial Nuggets, her story. Um, Pretty much it came to me because I know a lot of our young ladies want to be entrepreneurs. And even if you're not thinking about it right now, some of them already are entrepreneurs. Let me correct that. They have already started some of their business ideas and so forth. And so I'm very proud of that some of the young ladies have already decided that that's what they want to do. Um, but I wanted them to share with some or hear from different ladies in our community about your story, and that's where her story comes from. And so, I'm going to start with Emisha, and basically just go ahead and let you have the floor. I know, and share how you want to share, and y'all can ask questions, and we'll just flow. So once Emisha finishes up, whoever wants to chime in next can go ahead, and we'll just flow like that. Okay. Misha, I need you to unmute. If you look at your phone, there should be a thing for you to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, sure can. Thank you.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Hello, everyone. How are you? My name is Demisha Deputy. I own the business Inspire LLC. It is I'm a licensed esthetician. Um, Basically, how I began, I'm just gonna give a run through of how and where I've come now. I've worked at the hospital as a lead, one of the lead phlebotomists for 13 years, and I was pretty much complacent. I was content. I was fine. Within the last couple of years, I was like, okay, I want more. I went to college, majored in psychology. Realized it would take me almost about 7 years to just get to the where I wanted to be with it. All while trying to maneuver between having lupus, rheumatoid, and different things of that nature. So what I did was normal self-care stuff. My best friend and I would go and get our waxes and stuff, and I would drive all the way to Memphis, Tennessee, Germantown area. Well, the young lady ended up getting pregnant, and she had her own business. Mind you, I'm working at a hospital. You just don't be off for 3 months. So the young lady was saying that she was out for 3 months, but she was having places, having people, well, areas for us to be sent to. So I called her personally, and I was like, I stay in Grenada. Like, where would I go? Would it be further off? And she was like, so y'all don't have anybody closer to y'all that does this? And at the time, I had no clue. And I said, no, especially not in my area. And she said, well, I know a school that it's a black owned school. She just opened the school maybe a couple of years ago, and it's for aesthetics. So I'm listening to her like, oh, okay. And she was like, you should give them a call. And that's what I did. I just gave a call thinking it was just gonna be nothing, like, hey, how you doing? Da da da. And she empowered me so after our conversation, she said, you really need to try this. She was like, I'll even take some off. I want you to really walk into this. You're already, somewhat in medical, so you will be a good, candidate in aesthetics. So I listened to her. I did my first deposit. It was in less than 2 weeks. I was in esthetician school. Now, mind you, I was traveling every day to Jackson. And every day I went, I just prayed and I was like, God, this is purpose. If I'm traveling this way, it has to have something good coming out of this by the end. I traveled. I even stayed some days and did night class as well because you have to understand once school is over, it's over. Once classes are over, it's over. A lot of times you'll see people that'll go get further education classes and things of that nature. And a lot of times it's because they lacked certain things that they could get. It's only a certain amount of time that you can get certain knowledgeable aspects for your business. And so for me going basically twice a day, asking to come twice, the morning sessions, and then coming back to the after hours with the people that work. I made a convenience to do that, and when I did all of that, I got a lot of nuggets. I ended up graduating top of the class, and I had to bring it back to Grenada, Mississippi, and it was like you sink or you swim. And my biggest thing was the comfort and the ambience of places. It wasn't big on the marketing and all that because I'm just now getting to the place where I'm like, okay, let's market more and everything. But it was to gravitate the people to something new because mind you, if I'm traveling this far to get a certain service or services, this is not something that people are in a small town are very knowledgeable about. So what I did was give a lot of information about what I was doing along that time. And it's been 4 years. It's been beautiful. Um, I didn't know anything about business before. I would say that I knew nothing about business, but I'm so grateful to be in a place where now that the knowledge has helped me and the people receive me for who I am, and not just that they trust in me. So in order to be have the trust from the people, you have to work on your perfection, and not even just that, being open, being honest. Being very like I say, the services that I do um put out there, I have to be 100% comfortable with them, if that makes sense. So everything's been going great so far. I'm grateful. I've gained so many connections and relationships through business, and I don't see myself turning back to just anything else besides this. I love what I do, and it opened a new door for Grenada, Mississippi to have the first esthetician here. So that's it. Any
So,
questions
can you
or
tell can you tell us like a little bit about the type of services that you provide and that people come there for?
sure. Okay, so my main services are body waxing and facials. And post-op care. When I say waxing, is body waxing from head to toe, whatever they, may need. Facials, I do dermaplaning, which is using like it's basically taking the epidermis layer of the skin off the very top. It is also basically helping you with issues. Say if you're dealing with hairism, or you're dealing with, some people have peach fuzz on their face or of that nature. It gives a different glow. I do basic facials for people that's just starting off because you have to learn on the Fitzpatrick scale exactly what the client needs. Everybody's skin is different. So even if you have this bomb cleanser that you're purchasing or you're selling, or it works for many people, that's just like hair oils and hair growth oils. it's still not for everybody. You have to find what works for that client. So that was one of my biggest issues or biggest concerns. What's best, what's good, what's not good. You have to look at gender, not gender, but look at races. Some races even have a certain type of temperature that they can have on their skin. So whereas you have to make sure all of that is taken care of. The body waxing is just what it is, body waxing, and you have to know how to I use hard wax for my services, and that's because you can go over it more than once. A lot of times for African Americans, our hair is kind of more coarse than others. Mexicans are kind of more coarse, and Italian. So you have to be able to know again on the Fitzpatrick scale who you have and what you're having to use and what you're having to do. I do post-op care with the addition of help with my mom. She's 28-year retired from physical therapy. So she walked in to be the, basically to the management to help me do the sanitation. I'm big on sanitation. I'm big on the things that you have to make sure that it's good and up forth so that you won't transmit anything, even with the skin. Some people can have infections in their skin. So I'm big on trying to make sure everything's taken care of and sanitized. When we get to post-op care is basically if they've had a surgery, not even if they've just had a surgery. I've had people come that have had bad car wrecks that need to have aromatherapy. It's not like a deep tissue massage, it's a relaxation. So usually when you get up, you feel like you're wobbling and you don't even need to go do nothing for the rest of the day because you are tired. It kind of takes out that anxiety, all of that, those things that you have in your body when you go and you getting like basically self-care. So I do aromatherapy massages. But the post-op part is again, say if you have breast cancer, say if you've had lymph node, anything dealing with lymph nodes or anything dealing with you're having to contour or get the body back toned the way it needs to be, especially after surgery. I do that as well. So that's basically what services that I have right now that I am doing. I have a lot more that I'm certified in, but I choose the ones that I know that I need in this area. It's not good to pile all. I learned that in the first few years. It's not good to pile all your services in at once. You need to target who you're targeting, and who I'm targeting pretty much would be um my community, what's around here now, what they're needing, instead of just adding so much stuff because it can debacle the eyes when they're looking like, okay, so what do I need? That draws a lot of questions. It's best that you put down what's the best services that you know that will help and be beneficial for the town and in the area that you're in.
Thank you.
I have a question. I know one thing I wanted to point out was this, like that whole career change just sparked from encounter that for most people we don't even pay attention to. We don't even take advantage of that opportunity, and we don't even realize the impact that they can have. Um,
Right.
yeah, one of the things I want to ask you was, as you started your business, what were some of the growing pains that you may have experienced in this process?
I I will be honest with you guys. The hardest thing was leaving what you're comfortable, where you found yourself comfortable at. Like I said, I had been at the hospital so long. I had so many connections with the patients, because you have repetitive patients that will come all the time. That connection, that I knew, one thing I was good at, I was good at sticking, like, so drawing blood, dealing with my NICU babies or people that's getting ready to be flown out, because of course we couldn't keep babies that were NICU and things like that. We had to go ahead and get the blood work. That's one of the hardest things to do. And I was thanking God for the gift to be able to do some of those things without sticking those kids over and over, or elderly patients and things of that nature that I would have. So it was difficult for me to transform and leave and do step out on faith and do another thing. But when I realized that I could make what I made in 2 weeks, if you walk in your business the way you want to, you can make it in one day. It made more sense to rebuild a family oriented spa salon. So that's what I did. And I started off home based because I was nervous. I didn't know how it would turn out, the whole nine, but it has been a blessing. Like you said, from just one conversation led me into this. And my biggest thing was, my motto was, if I'm gonna go this far, I have to get everything that I need. Like I can't come this far and then be like, oh, okay, I need an assistance to help me teach me how to do this, to teach me. Yes, it's good to have for the learning, but at the same time, you have to come back with stuff that you have perfected in. So when I moved into that portion, it helped me more to gain relationship, clientele, and things of that nature. So it was very beneficial for me, but it was definitely a different change because I'm used to going in doing a 9 to 5, if that makes sense.
What advice would you give anyone that is looking to branch off into their own business?
Um, Let me say this. In the journey of aesthetics, that's just like nursing, anything else, if you whatever that you're going along the journey together. You get to see the highs and lows of each person. We see the vulnerability, we see the, okay, well, for instance, in Memphis, there were two students that were there, and they stayed one block over, right? They got their businesses open and moving. Only one person was successful. Mind you, both people were very, very talented, but it was all about the who they knew, what they knew, and who people already had known to be doing what they were doing. And sometimes it doesn't work out. It's all about how you basically push it. Not just that, you gotta have a fire. You have to have a burn. You have to have an urgency and a consistency for your business. Because I've seen people say, "How you blooming so?" I'm over here struggling to get one person. I have people writing me all the time. So what I have done with a lot of people is, any expertise that I've learned or got, if I know they've already been through esthetician school, I do trainings for them for free, because I feel like they've done their part. They worked hard, but it's all about the footwork that you give to promote your business. It's so many different levels to it. Some win, some have to work a little harder, and so it brings them into, okay, well, this might not be for me. And you'll see a lot of them have a working 9 to 5, and then they'll do this on the side, if that makes sense. So I think God just really had his hand on me, on my business. I stayed in faith. I stayed in consistency. I got knocked off the road trying to go to school by an 18-wheeler, and it didn't even have a tag on it's on the car. I went back to school the very next day in a rental. Like, that was the tenacity that I had to get to where I needed to get. Because again, I'm coming to a small town, and I'll use the example of the big city, saying they're one street over, and one person has maybe 2 clients, and the other one may have 200. If that makes sense. So it's all about how you maneuver and what you put into your business, or what you put into putting out there to show what you can do.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Does anybody else have a question? Okay, if not, then I want to go ahead and thank you so much, Miss Emisha. Thank you so much for sharing with our girls your story and so forth. I appreciate you sharing and appreciate your time. Hopefully, these nuggets have fallen where they need to fall, and that they are encouraged by your story. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, anybody want to go next?
I will.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. I am Shakiva Loomis. I am a board certified family nurse practitioner, and I am the owner of Loomis Healthcare and Associates. It is a primary care clinic here in Grenada, Mississippi. We are located at 340 Van Dorn Street. We take most insurances. self-pay appointments, walk-ins. At our clinic, we do anything that you would go to a physician for or a provider for. We do uh, primary care, which is chronic disease management. We also do urgent care, strep, COVID, flu, different things of that nature. I do weight loss. We do preventative screenings, and pap smears, and all the good stuff. So anything that you would go to a provider for or a physician for, you can come see me for it. I started the practice about a year and a couple of months ago, and we started here in Grenada. I've been here for the last 18 years. I got married and moved here. I'm also, my husband is a pastor, so I am the only lady at River of Life Church here in Grenada, Mississippi. Um, my story is simple. It's really a God story. I wasn't. I'd never had the idea of being a business owner, owning a practice, starting a practice from scratch, having no blueprint or background, anybody to help me. That was it wasn't my plan at all. It was God's plan. And the scripture says, if you acknowledge him in all your ways, he will direct your path. And that's the truth of my life. I would if I go backwards at age 15, my mom took me to the health department for a pap smear. And I met this black lady that was doing the pap smears at the time. And I actually thought that she was a doctor. And she was so good and she was so thorough. And she educated me and she just talked to me and encouraged me in a way that it stuck with me. And I remember leaving thinking, whatever she is, because I thought she was a doctor and I found out she wasn't. And I was like, whatever she is, that's what I want to be. I was 15 at the time, and then I come to find out that she was a nurse practitioner. I had not at that time even heard of a nurse practitioner. But that speaks to where I had been raised. I came out of the projects, single parent home. I'm the oldest of five. And so I just hadn't been exposed to that. I didn't know what a nurse practitioner even was at that time. Fast forward in 19, I got pregnant with my first child, and so I became a single mom. I did have a full academic scholarship to Jackson State. Um, and I went a semester, but I also went pregnant. And so I decided to come home and to commute and to take care of my child, to step up and to be my a mother to my child. And so made that sacrifice and started going back and forth to Delta State commuting from Greenwood. That's my home. Um, at the time, I had night classes and would stay with my auntie, who was a respiratory therapist. And at that time, I was just seeking God because I really didn't have a lot of direction. I decided that I want to be a child care adolescent psychologist. I was a psych major at the time. I had heard one of my friends say it, and it sounded really good, but I didn't have a lot of direction as to what I wanted to do and where my life was going or what my purpose was. And so I was seeking God about it. And I will never forget, I was having a conversation with my aunt because I was staying with her sometime when I would have night classes. And she spoke to me and she said, um, girl, what are you doing? You need to get you some papers. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she was talking about at that time nursing school. And when she said it, it was like a light bulb came on and such a peace came over me that I knew what she was saying is what I needed to do. And so immediately I changed my major and I started I went into pre-nursing, started doing my prerequisites and started to prepare to go to nursing school. Did not get accepted until I tried to get in the RN program, did not get accepted, got accepted into the LPN program in Grenada, actually, at the time. This was back in 2004, long time ago. Um, and even that was God's plan because I will meet my husband at that school. So anyway, went to LPN school, started my life. A couple of years later, went to RN school. Got married, had a couple of kids, went back to RN school in 10, and then a 9, by oh 08, 9, somewhere in there. And practice nursing. Have worked in multiple care settings and I had that desire always in the back of my head to become a provider at some point. In my RN career, though, I kind of got complacent and started thinking, I don't want that level of responsibility. I don't think that that's for me. But a couple of, I guess around 2015, started getting really burnt out and feeling empty. And I've always had a passion for nursing. I knew that was where I was supposed to be, and I knew there was purpose for God. I'm innately a nurturer. I innately take care of people well. I'm compassionate. And so I knew that was always my lane, but I got burnt out with bedside, and I just started seeking God about like, what are you saying? And at that time, God just started dealing with me about changing. I was like, at that time, still, I was like, I'm not gonna be a provider. I don't want to do that, but I'll go get my master's and do education, and I can advocate and I can educate young girls like myself that were coming out of abject poverty, coming out of environments where they hadn't been exposed. I would love to be an advocate for those ones, and so that's what I wanted to do. And but God just wouldn't give, I had really no peace completely about it. And just started praying, and my husband was like, you need to go on and be a provider. You need to go back to nurse practitioner school. And I was in the master's program at the time. Just prayed about it and was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. That same day, reached out to one of my cousins who was also who was a nurse at the time. My husband was like, you need to reach out to her and see if she wants to kind of buddy up and y'all do it together. So I'm like, okay, fine. Reached out to my cousin. My cousin was like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. We should do it. Have you ever heard of the University of Memphis? And I'm like, I'm right here in Grenada, but I actually haven't. And so was thinking about doing that, and that day literally talked to her, looked the curriculum up and all the things. Got off the phone. I was actually working at the time, and so one of the clinics that I was would go in and frequent often, I went in and not thinking anything about it, and there was a nurse practitioner student in there at the time. And which I thought was amazing, because I literally had just got off the phone with my cousin, and I see this student. And so I asked her, I stopped at this time, I'm interested now. And I'm like, what school are you at? And she said, I'm at University of Memphis. And I'm like, okay, God. I hear you loud and clear. And so applied, got in, went through the program, all the good things. I did not, even going to nurse practitioner school, did not think that I was gonna come out and actually start a practice, particularly coming straight out of school. That wasn't my idea at all. But again, acknowledge him in all your ways and he will direct your path. I knew I didn't want to work a 9 to 5. And I was thinking, well, maybe I'll contract myself out. I knew that I didn't necessarily want to work for somebody. I had already established that, but entrepreneurship was just so far away from me. But I don't know, how spiritual you all are, and that's fine. But I'm just sharing my story and my faith along the journey. I had somebody that actually spoke a word of prophecy over me, and they told me that I would be doing the things that I was approaching doing. I just kind of took that back and wasn't even thinking about it necessarily. And one of the things that this woman told me was there's going to come an invitation, and this invitation is going to open the door for you. And she said a lot of intricate things that I would encounter. Still never put it together. Was going into clinicals, was doing my pediatric rotation with a nurse practitioner here in town, and they had just started a practice. And I told her I wanted to do women's health, and I clicked with the provider really well. The whole clinic, I just got along with them so well, and they liked me. And so they were like, "Listen, have you ever considered starting your own?" And it would be wonderful. We've always wanted somebody to come in because we do pediatrics, and it would be a one-stop shop. If somebody else would deal women's health, we can all come together. And they said it to me, and the owner was talking to me, and I brushed it off and didn't think anything about it, because I was like, child, I just want to go work. I want to go get trained. I'm nowhere near. I don't think at that time willing, able or capable of even doing something of that magnitude. Didn't think nothing else about it. That was one semester. The next semester came, and that was our residency semester, and it was time for us to graduate. And at that time, I was doing my primary care clinical rotation, but I also had I option to go into a specialty field, and it was really whatever specialty field you want to go into. So of course I wanted to do women's health, and I wanted to get back with my OBGYN and go through that rotation again. I reached out to her, and I reached out to her, and I just could never make it work out to where I can get back with the OBGYN and finish those hours. And it was coming up on time where I had to get the hours finished because we was about to graduate. And so I got with the the I just reached out to the other provider who did pediatrics. And so I was like, listen, I just need these hours. I got to complete them. I got to get them done because I'm getting ready for graduation. Sure, Shakiva, come on. So I went on, and the first thing she asked me when I walked in, this is another semester, is, and I'm about to wrap up. She was like, "Have you thought about what I said, Shakiva?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't. I haven't at all." And that she just started talking about it all over again. Mind you, I wasn't even supposed to be with her. I was supposed to be back at the OBYN, GYN clinic. And so just the first thing she said, so I was like, okay, well, let me just take it to my husband. So went and talked to my husband, got all the logistics of it, and my husband was like, I think that this is God. When we prayed about it, had such peace, and just decided, okay, we'll do it. And literally that's history. Everything that I needed to be able to start a practice, really with having no help or no direction at all, the Father put everything I need in my path, even down to the finances and me being able to make the investment debt free. And if I could just share a couple of things with you all, I would want you to all to know that more than anything, if you're going to go into entrepreneurship or whatever you're going to go into, know your purpose, know your why for what you're doing. We live in a time where we're driven, almost about just being ambitious, getting the bag. Everybody is, want to be entrepreneurs. It's almost like not even a thing to have a 9 to 5, and there's nothing wrong with any of it. You just need to know why and your purpose and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And once you get that and understand that, then you can go on and make the decisions about your career path. And so just understanding your purpose and your why. For me, I understood that God had graced me to take care of people. And my why was He wanted there to be quality healthcare in a environment and in a place where there might not necessarily be that He wanted quality healthcare that looked like and that could advocate for the people that really are the sickest amongst us. And so it was His will for me. So your purpose, understand your purpose, and then having drive, knowing that if you start and you go into entrepreneurship, understand that more than likely it's a long-term investment. There has to be some delayed gratification. It's not going to happen overnight, but you got to be driven, and that goes back to your purpose. Because if you're doing something out of the reason why you're here in the first place, this is your purpose, then it doesn't feel like work and it doesn't feel hard. This is the thing that you're here for, and this is what you're supposed to be doing. And so just having that drive, understanding that this is a long-term investment, it might not happen overnight, but I'm going to trust this process and I'm going to stick to it. And the final thing is focus. We live in a social media culture, and I've heard it, I've said it myself, comparison is the thief of joy. It's so hard, it's so easy to look around you and see this person is doing this and this person is doing this, and I'm not maybe where I need to be because I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. But the reality of it is that you need to bloom where you've been planted, and you need to know your purpose, be driven, but be focused, knowing what is in front of you, charting your own course, no matter what people are doing around you, and no matter how quick or fast it happens or slow. I used to I always say when I was in nursing school, I had this whole thing about the tortoise and the hare, and I think some of us that are older remember it. Like slow and steady wins the race. It's not all with life. It's not a sprint necessarily, and your business won't be either. But you build it every day, brick by brick. You show up. You're consistent. You're focused. And you're doing it out of purpose. And those are things that bring you joy and gratification. I'm so glad that I took this leap of faith and I've done what I've done. And I have big dreams and big visions, and there are big things. And I know I'm just getting started with what God wants for my life and wants to do with it. And so if I could just encourage you, especially you teenage, you young girls, again, this started out as me being a teenage mom. Here I am now owning a practice. So it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. And it doesn't matter how you start. Life can change. It doesn't have to be the same. Your environment doesn't have to dictate to you your story or your next, because God is able, and He's bigger than anything, and he does have a purpose for us all. And so that's my entrepreneur story, entrepreneurship story. I'm so grateful that I get up every day and I get to go serve people and I get to do this with my name on it. And people trust me to do it. And every day I'm pinching myself because I'm like, am I really doing this? But I am. And so if a young girl that's come out of the project that was a teenage mom and just didn't know where her life was going can come to this place, I want to encourage you all that the sky is the limit. You can do anything. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you so much for that. While you were talking about the focus part at the end, a question came to mind to me. And a lot of times we lose focus and we allow people to speak negative things to us. Did you ever experience moments in which people, or even yourself, because a lot of times we suffer with imposter syndrome, or we question ourselves. Were there any instances in which you had to deal with that, and what did you do to overcome that?
Yes, I dealt with imposter syndrome terribly, and I have always been my worst critic. And so one of the biggest things for me was having to overcome just my own inadequacies or what I felt like and insecurities, and really the reason why and the way that I was able to overcome it is really because I understand my identity in Christ. And so I really got to the place where I was like, my confidence is not in myself anyway. I put it in you. And if this is your will and your plan, then if you call me to it, then you will sustain me and give me every tool that I need to be able to do it. And so that for me was the biggest thing. Yes, I've had people say negative things and all of that, but even before that, I think God wastes nothing. My husband started his own ministry, and that was such a great thing for me because part of just growing a ministry is wanting people to participate, wanting family and friends and all the things. And being mature enough when I started this entrepreneurship th- uh, inspired to do this, understanding that the people that you think may support are probably not going to, and that's fine. You find your tribe, because clearly there are some people out there that will, and so you don't get caught up in your emotions and feelings about it. You just understand that there's a tribe of people that are waiting on you to do what you're supposed to be doing, and when you do what you're supposed to do, those people that are for you are gonna come. They may not look like the people that you would think would, but that's okay. There's a whole huge world, and we limit ourselves when we want those that we just know around us. And so, just being mature enough, even before I started, to understand that there is a tribe for me, and understand that folks ain't gonna like me. I'm not gonna be for everybody, and that's okay because I'm not affirmed by people. I'm not getting my affirmation from man. I really am dependent on the Father to do what He's called me to do. And so that's how I've overcome it.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions? Because I know some of you guys are interested in healthcare, nursing fields. So this is a great opportunity to ask some of those questions that you may have. Okay. Um, and I guess I'll ask you the same thing I asked Misha. You kind of already gave information or tips as far as that goes. As far as having a career in the healthcare field, for people who may be interested into, they're not sure what they might want to do or so forth. Do you have any advice for them as to entering healthcare programs and things like that? Any steps to take and so forth?
First and foremost, those programs are really competitive. So if that's what you want to do, then you in high school you got to get your GPA up. You need to really be focusing on your grades right now. That is very important. And then you can find a school or a program. Holmes is a great program right here in Grenada. It's an associate's degree program, and they have like a 98, 99% passing board passing rate. It's an amazing program. If you want to do a BSN, you have the W, who's also here. And so I would just encourage you just to do some research. You're gonna have to have your prerequisites done usually before entering to an RN program. And so if that's something you want to do, first and foremost, have your GPA where it needs to be. Secondly, get that ACT score where it needs to be. That may mean starting early and taking the ACT several times and even getting some test prep along the way. Because some of us, it's not necessarily that we don't know the content, we just need help taking the actual test. So getting those resources so you can get that ACT score as high as possible, because again, these programs are very competitive. And then once you get those in order, if you go into school and do your prerequisites before you apply, just make sure you do pre-nursing. And so you want to be able to get all your those classes that you're going to need before entering the program out of the way. But most importantly, just know what your purpose is and what your why is. Nursing is wide open field, and you can do so many things with it. I got to leverage my um NP a degree and open a whole practice. And so it's so many ways that you can go, so many things that you can do, and it's wide open. So just knowing your why. But again, Holmes is a school. There's Mississippi Delta, that's a school. Northwest is a school. The W, there's many nursing programs around here. And so just getting those grades up to where they need to be, and being as competitive as you can when you get ready to apply. And not just that, I encourage nursing school, but I also encourage medical school. We need more doctors. We need more Black doctors. And if you can get a good enough GPA, high enough GPA, and a high enough ACT, to go to nursing school, why can't you go to medical school? You can go to medical school. I shadow students actually, and this is another thing for you all. If you're at Grenada, Latiffany Bree is I think she's a career counselor, and she works with a program that places students in potential career paths. I work with that program, and I've had a couple of Grenada students come through the program, and they've shadowed me. So if you're interested, if that's something you want to do, we're open. I would love to have you. I think it's also a paid program, but you have to have GPA to do it. So that's another way that you can actually kind of get your foot in, and kind of know if that's something that you actually want to do long term. But I'm open to actually train. So I would love to have you.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for sharing of your time and your wisdom and knowledge with us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Let me double check. I think we had some people that had to drop off different things. And people having some technical difficult, no one say technical difficulties, but let me see. I think that's everybody that was scheduled for her story that was able to share today. Yeah, I've been
I'm
trying
going
to
to have to drop off too.
no
Okay.
problem. Like I
Okay.
said, thank you so
Thank
much.
you
We
for the
appreciate it.
opportunity. I appreciate you all.
Thank you so much. All right, you guys, we are wrapping everything up. I think that is it. I was trying to see Marilyn had she had to drop off to handle a situation with a flat tire. But yes, I've appreciated everybody and all the information. Y'all, this is not just for the young ladies. This is for all of us. Because a lot of times we don't even understand the way and the direction in which God will transform our lives. But when we really just submit to him, he will give us a purpose that will guide us and lead us into multiple directions. And I never thought I was gonna be, doing what I'm doing with you guys. I mean, I've worked with church youth before, and I've had a program one time before with girls, but I didn't think I was gonna try it again because it was a lot of work and um so I just didn't think I was gonna step into doing that again. But here I am and I enjoy it and I hope that the things that we are just discussing and we talk about, these are the topics that God gives me to give to you. And I be very strategic about who I bring before you. I want you to know that I'm not just picking people randomly. These are people that I know. I know their character. One, I know their character. I know who they are. I know their story. I know parts of their story. For each one that spoke, I did learn some things I didn't know, but I want you to see people who look like you so that you know that there's not any barriers, no challenges, nothing that can separate you from doing those things that you desire to do and doing the things that God places into you to do. And I'm gonna be I didn't start this as a ministry. But we talk about faith and we talk about God a lot, and that's a part of who we are. So you can't separate who you are from who created you. And so um just letting you know that your path is already predestined. You just got to be obedient and follow on through. Uh that is everything for today. If there aren't any other questions, there's one last thing that I need you to do, young ladies, and as well as women who are um on this as well. I always like to get feedback so that we can always make this even more impactful. So I am for to send you the link so that you can give feedback about today. Um,